Hi all and welcome back. Brace yourself. A warning, this is and will be a harrowing narrative to take on board, but it is necessary. And it's from one of our own members. May we surround her with love and support as this narrative comes out of the dark into the light. Evil must not be allowed to prosper by the choice of ignorance. I am 55 years old, married, and a mother to a 16-year-old daughter. My father is American and my mother Italian-Chilean. My father was in the Foreign Service for the USA, hence I grew up in Chile, Lesotho, Africa, Dominican Republic, Argentina, and high school in Rome, Italy. I grew up trilingual with English, Spanish, and Italian. Both my grandfathers were ambassadors in USA and Italy, and so my parents grew up all over the world as well. In other words, I grew up around some of these elites. Elites is the correct term. And there is a darker part to my story. My Italian uncle ran a medical military torture facility on the outskirts of Rome, which is hidden underground and does not officially exist. I was targeted from birth by him. We visited Rome twice a year during summer and winter holidays from whichever country we lived in, and then when I was 14 and my folks divorced and I lived there full time until aged 18. My uncle was well connected with the Italian government, the mafia, and the Vatican. In fact, his facility and the Vatican were connected via underground tunnels. I knew as a child that they were all linked, and also Washington, D.C. and New York, where he sometimes travelled and often took me to traffic me out to powerful people. I was mostly sex trafficked in the Vatican and among Italian elites. Being a blonde, blue-eyed, very pretty girl, I was put through that sex kitten programming, and so I appreciate hearing your information about Monarch, MK Ultra, and these kinds of programs. It has helped me to put some of my experiences into context. I was also tortured in the facility with electric shocks, beatings, burnings, being in cages without food or water for long periods, having to watch animals being maimed and killed. People also, he would kidnap gypsies in Rome as they are undocumented, being buried alive, simulated drownings, and much psychological torture and ritual ceremonies. I had abilities, such as being able to heal my body within a short time after the abuse. For example, after having all my bones broken with a hammer, I could repair them within an hour or so. I can't say exactly how I did so. It was more automatic, if that makes any sense. I was also telepathic and able to communicate metaphysically, so they took a big interest in me and did all they could to destroy me. I have returned from death many times, and they understood I could not be killed, and so doubled down on other methods. I can vividly remember that leaving my body felt like a huge relief, free from this tiny constricting vessel and suddenly expanding into everywhere. Conversely, coming back into my body felt awful, like squeezing into a too small space, and of course hard to return to this dark reality. When I was younger, I would also tell the folks around me, and particularly the people in the Vatican, that what religion says was all wrong and that Jesus never said any of that stuff. I was taken to the Vatican a lot, and downstairs in the basement area they have huge marble altars where I witnessed babies being sacrificed, their blood drank, and even some of their organs eaten, and noted to adults around me that it was crazy that during Catholic Mass they ate the body and drank the blood of Christ. I did not have the words, but I knew religion was demonic in origin. Again, so much validation of listening to your From Russia with Love series. When I was very young, I had the sense I was not originally from here, and I remember being shocked by the brutality and darkness I saw around me. I knew 2012 was a very important date, and we had to make it past that point, and somehow I was here, amongst many others, to help tilt us to the light enough to make it, and also that I had a mission afterwards. Inner work is at times pretty brutal, as was seeing parts of myself I did not like, such as my inner victim part, but so very worthwhile, as inner freedom and balance is the outcome. I still have fear inside me at times, but I know how to work it when it ignites, and so I don't fall into unbalance. Knowing how to deal with what arises in a moment is also freedom to me. I intend to write a book about my life with the dual purpose of awakening humanity to these atrocities, expose the Vatican, and secondly to share my healing journey so people can have a map of how to come back from trauma. Too many on this planet are traumatized, and in my opinion, this is why so few are ready for this time. Trauma keeps us locked in the past. A very sad story, and sadly all too common knowledge for those of us who work behind the false fronts of government, churches and cults. And stories like this, despite being painful to hear, is nothing compared to the trauma the victims go through. And it must be brought to light by the all. Enough of hiding the sin-eating. Expel it into the ether to be transmuted and turn against the darkness in our midst. A recent question that I never got round to fits in nicely here. If the Vatican will go into detail, use demons to perform tasks, then why did they employ an exorcist? This is the classic problem solution, and play the victim and play the saviour, as they've always done. The history of that church and stories like I've just read out. That church and its whole cat cult religion should be shut down permanently, in my opinion. Follow Jesus if you must, but don't follow the man or the name. Follow the teachings that were put forward in his name. It's all you need.